Teresa Stone with Simon Says Social and the Systems Lounge, and I want to welcome you all today to the 2017 Business Systems Virtual Summit, where you will learn all about the business systems that our speakers use every single day to get things done. Today, I am talking with Angela J. Ford, and she is amazing at the task of self-publishing. And so today she is going to share all of her knowledge and expertise with us on self-publishing. So if you are looking to self-publish, or maybe you're an author and you really want to dive into self-publishing, this is the place to be. Angela is the author of the 4 Worlds series. She is also a book launch strategist. She is passionate about helping authors and bloggers do more of the work that they love by helping them to self-publish and also market their own books. As an avid book connoisseur, she loves reading so much that you are likely to find her with a cup of coffee in hand and her nose buried in, you guessed it, a book. Angela, welcome. I am so excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and share and chat with you.
Woohoo! So let's just really take it down to the basics. What's self-publishing?
Well, I'm sure there is a dictionary definition for it, but I call it the process of taking your book that you've written and publishing it out into the world where people can go to their favorite online retailer or even their bookstore and purchase and read it. And so with that self-publishing, it allows you to be in control, and it allows you to make your book available in different formats. So whether that is actual print paperback book, an ebook, or what's very popular right now, an audiobook.
Nice. I didn't even think about being able to publish it in different formats and platforms, but that really makes total sense. That's pretty cool. So why would somebody go with self-publishing versus say the traditional publishing route? What are the differences?
This is one of my favorite questions. So one of the things that's really a big difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing, I kind of like to compare it to either running your own business or working for someone else. So really, when you're working for someone else or when you're doing traditional publishing, you don't have the final say on things like, this is the book cover that I really want, or this is the final version of my book. It really has to go through an editor, and they really want to make sure that it's something that they can sell to their audience of people. And then also with traditional publishing, what also happens is that you might have a smaller royalty because they do have to take out royalties to pay for, the publishing costs, and then also to pay for themselves. Which is why when you approach a traditional publisher, you have to have an agent, and the vetting process, it can be intense at times just because they really want to make sure, this is something that's going to be the next, like Harry Potter or Game of Thrones if it's fiction. And if it's nonfiction, they really want to make sure that this is something that people will be interested in, that, they will walk into a bookstore and pick it up, or they'll talk about it to their friends and their friends will get it as well. So it's really focused on that marketing and that selling, and just making sure that the quality of work that's being brought forth is exactly what the market is ready for right now.
Right.
So traditional publishing, just like working for yourself, is a little bit different because you're in full control and you call the shots. So if it's awesome and it flies and you're making millions a year, that's all you. If it's not, then that's also all you. So there can be those pros and cons that come with it. But the thing is, you do get to be in control of, your final book cover, who you work with as an editor, just all the different little things that go into it. One thing that most authors, whether they are self-published or even traditionally published, are surprised to find out is that regardless of who you go through, you have to do a lot of the marketing yourself. So yeah, so a publishing company, even if they do handle all the different logistics of getting your book out there, they still expect you to be involved in some sort of book marketing. So whether you have like your social media sites or your newsletters that you're sending out, and then other opportunities that you're taking advantage of, they can only get you so far. You still have to go out and market your book and continue to push it, and get it out there. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing with self-publishing, you still have to do that. But there's a little bit less pressure. It's not like you're trying to get your next book deal. So you have to make sure this book does really well so that they'll be willing to, give you another book deal, you still want to make sure that you're pushing it and you're getting it out. So that whole marketing part, I think, is where a lot of authors find themselves surprised, and they don't realize that there's so much marketing to do regardless of whether they are traditionally published or self-publishing.
Interesting. Well, I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I think a lot, like you said, a lot of people, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't even know what questions you need to ask if you don't know. So it's really cool that that you mentioned that marketing piece. What other things do people need to consider if they're thinking about self-publishing?
I think the biggest thing really to consider is your budget. And that's one of the things that you don't have to think about as much when you're going with a traditional publisher, because they provide in advance, or they handle that for you, just whatever that looks like for their specific publishing contract that they offer. With self-publishing, you really are in charge of that. So you need to figure out what is my budget. Some people can just invest thousands in their book, and some people are working with a smaller budget, and it looks different for them. So I really think the budget and making sure you save up and put money aside for that makes a lot of sense. And then also, there's not only the publishing budget, there's also the monthly book marketing budget. And so that can be relatively small, or it can be huge. It really just depends. And just know that if you are investing fewer dollars in your marketing budget, then you'll probably need to be a little bit more creative and invest a little bit more time in marketing your books. And it is completely doable. You don't need to have a monthly budget of $1,000, although it does help, especially if you just kind of run ads and put that on autopilot. But it does help to have a budget and to be aware that you do need to budget for these kinds of things.
So beyond kind of the marketing budget, which is, associated with anything that you do, about how much does it cost to self-publish a book?
I would say anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000.
Okay.
Of course, you can go higher or smaller with that. Like, your budget can be lower or higher. Again, there's several different factors that come into play. The big ones are who you want to hire to do your book cover. I've seen book covers start at like $250, and I've seen them go for $3,000. So again, that's a huge budget. Like that is so broad.
Yeah.
The same thing with editing. That's something you really want to budget for, because you want an excellent editor who will, listen to your voice and make it better. Right. And so an editor can cost, just depending on how good of a writer you already are and how clean your manuscript is, an editor could, start at, anywhere from $600 and up to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. It just really depends on what you need from that editor.
Right.
I tend to do proofreads, so my budgets tend to be on the smaller end. But again, that is something that I did budget for. Right. And then finally, there are other things associated, like formatting, different things like that you might want to pay someone to do. Again, the cost, like, there are people that are excellent that seem to charge pennies to do these things, and that's really cool. Yeah. Or, you could spend thousands. It just really depends. So I would say don't be overwhelmed with how much of a budget that you need. It's possible to publish with any size budget, actually.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Especially, I always like to offer opportunities based on, there's so many variables that go into making these decisions, and you can't ignore cost, right? Because some people are just starting out with their businesses and maybe they have zero budget, and other people are, very well established in their businesses and they can spend thousands of dollars. So it's really cool to know that there's that entire gamut depending on how you go about doing it. How much time does it take to self-publish a book? What are we talking about?
Well, if you cut out the writing part, I would say it takes about 3 to 6 months. And it can be a process.
Yeah.
Definitely. One of the things that I like to do is once I'm done writing my book and I know that it's as clean as it possibly can be, I've gone over it several times and I'm about to send it to my editor. I try to send it to my editor about 2 to 3 months before I'm actually ready to hit publish and have a release date, just so that I have time not only for the edits, but to get the book back and to read over it and look at those edits and then send it off to be printed. And some people don't do the printing, but I'm a big fan of paperback books. So I definitely want to have a huge like release party, and I want to have the print copies on hand. So that takes extra time. If you're just doing a straight up ebook, you don't have to factor in that much time.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So are there, let's talk a little bit for a second about the release party. I know that, we talked a little bit about marketing your book, but most people do some sort of release party or book signing or something where it's kind of that initial step to that launch. What does a release party look like? What are some of the things that I need to think about? And again, what's my budget for something like that?
Yeah, so with the release party, the budget really incorporates, how many books that you're going to order. And it's very easy to make back those costs because you can sell them during your release party and just,
Right.
just make bake,
Right.
as they say. So there's the cost of the books that you want to have on hand. Any gifts that you would like to give away, I always give away bookmarks with the books. And so that's a very inexpensive cost.
Yeah.
It's about $100 to get like a certain amount of bookmarks printed.
Right.
So that's a fairly inexpensive cost. There also is the venue, like where do you want to plan this? Is your home a good place to have it? Or are you just having friends and family? Do you want a little bit more media attention? Do you have a local bookstore that you can go to that would be excited about that? And one thing to keep in mind with partnering with local bookstores or even retailers or restaurants, just keep in mind that some people do want a percentage of what you make. So, be it 5%, 10%.
Right.
If it is a bookstore, and one reason I haven't done bookstores is because they want to sell the books themselves,
Right.
which means that they want to buy the book for at least, 40 or 60% off, and then they'll resell it.
Right.
So I haven't done that because I don't make as much if someone else wants to buy them from me at a discount and then sell them.
Right.
So, but that's also an excellent way to, get your community really excited about it and to keep them talking and buzzing about it and taking pictures of the event. So just keep in mind, what food you're serving, the venue, how many books you want to have on hand, any gifts that you want to give away to just thank people for coming, invites that you're sending out. And then if you are renting out a place, make sure that, you have that budget in mind for renting and catering.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually haven't done the whole rent out a place and cater it. I think this year I'm probably going to do something like go to a local park and have it there.
Nice.
Which would be just very fun and very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So again, with the book marketing budget, the release party is something that, it can be a huge expense or it can be a small expense. It really just depends on what you want for that.
What you want to get done. Yeah, that makes sense. So as the author, what should I expect to pay for printed copies of my book? I know it's going to be different than, say, the retail price. What should I expect to pay for copies of my own book?
Yeah, so you should expect to pay about $6 or $7, like not too much per book.
Okay.
And is smaller if you have a smaller book. So I actually write fiction books. So they are huge, monstrous books, like hundreds and hundreds of pages. So I spend probably about $6 or $7 per book. But if you have a smaller book that's nonfiction, then you're going to pay a lot less for that. You might even pay as little as $3 per book. So
nice.
Again, it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 tips for that. There are 2 different print-on-demand distributors. One is CreateSpace, and the other is Ingram Spark. Those are both .coms. And you can go there and you can do kind of a calculation to see, okay, this is the size that my book is going to be. This is how many copies I would like to order. And here's my zip code. And they will show you the estimate of how much per copy you're going to get, and then what that shipping and handling would cost.
Very nice.
You can go ahead and do that, and that will help you with your budget and determining, how many copies that you want people to have.
Yeah.
One neat trick, I know this is getting a little detailed, but one neat trick that I do is I ask people, if they want me to make sure that I reserve a copy for them, they can pay me ahead of time.
Nice.
I will make sure that they have a copy at that party.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yes. So that way you're paid, and then, you're just taking that money that you already made and paying for the books, and you get to keep the rest that you make.
It also gives you a nice head count, right? Because now you know this many people want to reserve a book for that event. This many people at least are going to be at the event. So that's kind of cool too.
It helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we're getting close to the end of kind of this first interview, but are there any limitations to self-publishing?
There are some limitations. It really depends on who you use as a book distributor and getting that out there. So that being like as internationally based can be a little hard if you're not sure exactly what you're doing. And then the other limitation that I found is that it is really hard and very expensive to print out hardback books. And then also books with a lot of colorful, like illustrative pictures that can also get expensive. Okay. So if you do want a ton of pictures in your book, it's best to stick to black and white because that keeps your print costs down. Mm-hmm. And you won't have to tell someone, well, my book is actually $60 right. because of all the pretty things in it.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. Cool.
So those are the two things, the hardcovers and then like the colorful illustrations that I see as being, you know, just kind of a little bit of a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is if you don't know marketing, it can be hard to get ahead with the book marketing and turn it into an income, which is why, you know, you really do need to focus on that book marketing and making that happen, as well as, you know, writing an excellent book.
Right, right. Okay, that totally makes sense. Thank you. So how can people reach out to you and get in touch with you? Say, you know, they're interested in self-publishing, they really don't know anything about marketing. How can they reach out to you and get in touch and maybe work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am very approachable on my website. You can just go to www.angelaj4.com. On my contact page, I have my email address listed. There's a contact form. It's my phone number, or you can hit me up on social media. I must say I'm on Twitter a lot and Facebook, of course. Facebook Messenger is like the place to be, but those are all on my website, angelaj4.com.
Nice. And I think you're giving something away as part of this event. Is that correct?
Yes. So there is a giveaway, how to plan an epic book launch in 6 steps. So that will just take you through the 6 things that you absolutely need to do to make sure your book launch is a success and you're reaching those people. And then at the very end, I also go into some of my marketing tips so that you can just start off on the right foot.
Very cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here, Angela. For those of you who are in the All Access Pass, stick around because we are going to dive deeper into self-publishing and learn a lot more. We're going to be asking Angela the big questions. Thank you so much, Angela, for being here. We really, really appreciate it. Bye, everyone. We'll see you soon.